Hello everyone, Justin here, and today we are going to draw Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. So let's start with a nice curve under the chin, just like that. And right here, let's look at the midline here for his face, right about there. So right here will be his nostrils. So we'll just draw a couple lines like that. And then let's go ahead and continue this line out a little bit. Let's make the nostrils a little bit darker, but continue this line out. And from here, we're going to draw a curve that goes this way. So let's go ahead and draw an outside curve and then do the same on this side. Okay. And then from here, we'll go ahead and draw the eye. So right here, we'll go out and then curve in with a half circle. Same here. So we'll go out first and then curve in. Just like that. So then we can go ahead and draw the pupil. And the pupils are somewhat rectangular. So right from here, just draw a slight curve down. And then rounded corner, and then straighten it out this way, and then round corner going back up. And here we'll see the inside corner of his pupil, over, round, outside. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in a small circle, both eyes for the highlight. And now we can go ahead and just darken this for now. And here. Okay, so just above the chin we'll draw these two curved lines, basically from here, touching the line, over all the way over here. So let's go ahead and draw that. Okay, to the midline, and continue it on across to meet the outer line. And we'll draw one more line just between these two lines, and that'll be the bottom of the mouth. So go all the way to the edge, and here to the edge. Okay, so that's the mouth opening. It's very small. So let's go ahead and draw some teeth. So one just off to the right of the center line, and then another one right there. You can make that a little bit smaller, and another one right there, and another one right there. Okay, and then this part will stay white right here. I'm gonna go ahead and use my 4B lead and make the black spaces between the teeth dark while I'm here. So let's go ahead and emphasize the nostrils again. Let's go back and make the outer ends a little bit thicker, and then curve down a bit right here, and make the ends just a little bit thicker, just to really emphasize that. And I'm gonna go ahead and darken the pupils darker now as well, because these are going to be the darkest darks of this drawing, and you want a nice contrast between the different parts of your drawing, from the darkest to the lightest. Alright, let's go back to our 2B lead. So this head then, from the eyes to the chin, this distance, like from here to here, we're going to triple that. So here's this one distance, second, and third. Okay, so this is going to be the top of his head. Okay, so right at the top we'll draw a small U-shaped curve that goes up. The left line is going to go up higher than the one on the right. Okay, so let's continue on the left side of his head first. So we're going to go up, and it's going to curve out a little bit here, just outside the eye. So we've got this line, and then it curves out like that, and we'll do the same thing here. So go up, and then it's going to curve out a little bit, and then back in. Here I didn't emphasize it as much as here, but that's okay. Alright, so continuing on, we're going to curve this line then up for his one horn. So about halfway between this corner here, where the left horn goes up, or his right horn goes up, to the center, we'll mark the halfway point right here. This is where this horn is going to end up. So let's go ahead and curve out the end of it and start heading down to this point. Again, a slight outward curve, and then round out the bottom. So now we have the base of this horn. Okay, so going from here, we'll round out the end and go back and meet that line. Alright, so we'll do the same thing on this side, where we go ahead and start curving out for the horn, and then it's going to curve back in. Just like this horn here that's shorter than this, the horn here, his left horn, will be shorter than that other one. Okay, so let's go ahead and curve it back in. So let's say it goes up to here, and curve in, and again halfway between the center and here, let's go ahead and mark a line right about level with that one, and we're going to go down with this line and curve it up at this point. So down and start curving it up, and now we have the base of this horn. So let's go ahead and curve out the tip of that one. I'm calling these horns because they look like horns, but I don't know if this is an ear or whatever, but anyway. So we can darken this center line a little bit crooked, not straight, and darken these lines now for the brow to kind of match our other lines. And right here, right above the eye, right above the inside of the eye, so here's the inside of the eye, right about here, and over this, on this side, right about here, we've got 7 dots, 6 dots around a central dot. So let's go ahead and draw a small circle on both sides, and then a circle, one directly above and one directly below. Okay, and then 2 on either side, so that you have kind of like a hexagonal shape, like a stop sign orientation for these dots, and 1 here, a second, and then 2 more on this side. Okay, those are white dots that are on his head actually. Okay, so let's darken this a little bit more for now, and let's do a little bit of shading. So I'm gonna go back to my softer lead pencil, my 4B, and start adding some shading around, especially underneath this brow here. So let's go ahead and darken this area. All of this area right under the eye will be kind of dark. So we'll just darken that, and same thing on this side. Let's go ahead and darken that for now, and add a little bit of a gradient right here where it's dark and then it gets lighter, but we want some really dark darks here. and continue on darkening the area under the eye. So I'm using this lead here just because you can easily get some nice dark tones. Okay, I'm trying to avoid our teeth here that we're trying to keep white. Could have done a better job of making them a little bit bigger. Okay, this part's gonna stay white, so I'm gonna try to be careful there. Alright, so continuing on to the other side here, I'm just gonna put in my dark tones now. Alright, so continuing on, I'm gonna try to add some darker tones right here, just above the mouth. And I already shaded this chin a slightly lighter tone than the mouth opening, just so it's very clear the separation between the chin and the mouth. And I'm just gonna go ahead and outline this a little bit darker, just like that. And now I'm gonna go ahead and continue on by shading this whole upper part. The whole upper part then will be a lighter shade than this lower section, just because it's catching light, but we'll still go ahead and add some shading to give it form. So I'm gonna just go ahead and start by putting in midtones for the whole thing. Okay, so my goal here is to make everything mid-tone, but put some shading like around the left side of this horn, and the left side here, make it darker here as well, and here, and maybe on this side as well, just so you can I can show that it's a curved structure. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and I'm gonna do this at the same time actually. So I'm gonna put some more pressure here on the left side now, and slowly lighten up on the pressure as I go to the middle. And same thing on this side. I'll just make the edges just a little bit darker, and then continue on with my midtones. And I'm gonna try to smooth out the gradient as much as I can, so that there isn't a distinct separation between my dark tones and my midtones, and so forth. Okay, so just to show that there's a little bit of difference here between the horn and the head itself, I'm gonna make it darker going closer towards the head here. So here's my dark tones, thin initially up here by the edge, and then widening here. That's what I'm talking about. And then I kind of end it here on this curve right here, just so you can kind of see where the head ends, or where the horns basically start from. Alright, so I'll just continue on. And here it's going to be a little bit more difficult to keep the midtones even. So what I'm actually doing here is adding another layer of lines that's in a different direction. And I'm going to try to keep these white dots white, but if I don't, it's not a big deal. Alright, so in a loose sketchy style, you'd be able to see a lot of the pencil lines. If you really want to, you can blend these pencil lines in with your finger, or a blending stump, or a piece of napkin, tissue paper. Alright, so just continuing on. Okay, so here we go with the horn. And I'm gonna go ahead and darken the left side a little bit more now. Then the center area, again I'm using multiple directional lines to try to help even out the shading a bit more. Okay, so depending on where the light's coming from and how the form shadows form, you'll have darker areas in different areas. You'll have darker tones in different areas. Not really going for realism here, but just to give it more form, more interest with our shading. Alright, so continuing on. Okay, so what I've done so far is I put in a bunch of midtones, and on this right side I've gone ahead and put in a second layer of shading just to make the right side a little bit darker. Right now, prior there's too much of a contrast between this dark area and this light area, so I'm darkening the dark areas of the upper part a shade bit more darker, just so it kind of blends in better with the lower section right here. So here I'm putting a lot of pressure and just going over everything a second time, and I'm gonna go over this certain areas again with my softer lead pencil, just because this is really right here is pretty much the darkest I can get with this 4B lead or 2B lead pencil, and I want it to be a little bit darker still, and so I'll have to use my 4B lead. Okay, so this left side I'm gonna keep a little bit lighter, so I'm going over it again, but not with as much pressure as I used on the right, because I want this side to be a little bit lighter, as you can tell, lighter than this. Okay, now there's actually some skin detail that I'm not really going to emphasize in this drawing, but you're more than welcome to. But I'm gonna kind of hint at it in a little bit. Alright, so like what I was saying, I'm gonna go to my softer lead pencil now and make these areas a little bit darker, especially like the outline area. And this will just help tie in the upper part of his head with the bottom. And I like the look of a darker outline anyway. Alright, so the darker areas here that I want to be darker, I'm just going over with my 4B lead just to get it just a little bit darker and get more of a gradient, a higher contrast. And like right here, I'm going to make this part a little bit darker, simply by going over it with my pencil. Alright, that looks pretty good. So what I was talking about as far as some of the details with his skin, I'm gonna go ahead and using my softer lead, I'm gonna just add these little irregular shapes, irregular sizes all over his forehead, especially by the center line area, like right here. Some are smaller, some are bigger, kind of irregular, not always touching each other. Okay, and I'll just continue that on for a short distance so that it looks as if you can see the texture clearly here, but then it kind of blends in the rest of the way. Okay, simply by drawing in these shapes and separating them somewhat. And again, it's kind of like drawing a gradient where it's darker here and lighter here. Here it's clearer, and as you go further out they become less clear, and so you see fewer of them. And because these shapes are actually lighter than the surrounding skin, I'm actually adding some extra shading in between just to indicate that. And I'm not gonna do it all over the place, but you know, just some detail here and there is enough to get the imagination going, to make it seem as if you put in that kind of detail all over. Alright, so I'll just add some more right here, and I'm gonna add some as well on the side here, just irregular shapes, and then maybe some up here. And try to vary the size. They almost look like scales. And here I'm just gonna shade in like portions of these shapes. Okay, and do the same thing over here. Again, irregular shapes, kind of like a reptile. And maybe some here, because this part here is kind of dark, it's not gonna show as much. And maybe a few up here. And that's pretty much it for Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. It's kind of a little bit longer and involved. Added a little bit more detail and tried to make it as a little bit, I guess, more realistic. So thanks a lot for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you at the next video.